bumping into evil and how to react to it. I did some videos. This month has been pretty interesting. One day I was looking out and I seen three crows, which is supposed to be good luck. Within about an hour, we found out that our rent had been stolen at $900. Really hard to come up with that in the first place, and to have to try and make that up again, next to impossible. The police were called and they gave this case to an officer that went on 10 days vacation, so nobody even did anything about it. This is where crime pays. We know that we can do anything we want now because the police are not about to do anything. There's way too many people committing crimes and not enough police to do anything about it, and no judge wants to do anything about it anyways. So I ended up finding some assistance to help pay my share of the rent, and we thought that my daughter could find some help out as well. And she's been rejected help because she can't prove that she was independent for 2 years. So basically, we put our kids through friggin' hell, and when they go out and try and earn a living, all of the money that they make gets stolen. And then there's not even these agencies that claim to help. This is age discrimination. We are really treating our kids poorly. Just the fact that my daughter had to live through so much abuse in the first place and then not be able to get assistance because of her age, which is kind of insane right there. But she's a little go-getter, really proud of her, and she went to work to take a second job that was going to pay a lot more than her current job, but it was only temporary. It was only for the summer, working with horses. And this is with a guy that seemed to be, a nice, friendly guy. We've been friends with him for over a year now. And um, so she has to travel quite a distance, 2 hours to get there. And he's made sure that she stays out there in 40-degree Celsius weather. Like, it's really, really friggin' hot. It's a desert. And she's out in the desert, has a little bit of water, but she was left with no food. And the last day was pretty much the last straw because the guy she works for is off, screwing off and having fun and, not working, not doing any part of his share of the labor that needed to get done. He just figured that he would get paid getting this young girl to do all of the work for next to no money. And so she was almost near fainting, and I'm on the phone with her, far away from her, can't do anything. And I'm listening to her walk. She had to walk a good hour to be able to get to a place that had some food for her to eat. She hadn't eaten for like 10 hours. And so we made some complaints, and she got fired for making a complaint. And so it's like, how do you react to evil? These rich guys that think that they can do anything they want and take your opportunity to work if you make any complaints, because they basically break laws, because there's a law against treating people that way. So we kind of figured that if he didn't like receiving our complaints personally, that maybe we should make a lot of complaints to a lot of different government agencies. This guy, like, we kind of thought it was weird. His daughter has a drug problem. We can kind of put two and two together now that he probably constantly lowered her self-esteem all the time, because that's what he does to my daughter all the time. Makes her feel like shit, makes her feel like she doesn't know what she's doing, and that he knows what's best, and he's a friggin' lazy asshole and does no work. So his poor daughter, I can understand that if I was raised by that kind of mentality, I would have a drug problem as well. But she's trying to clean herself up, and she has two kids. And meanwhile, he's been looking after this granddaughter that he says is his world, and he would do anything for her. And he says that she's really traumatized by a lot of things she's seen by her mother and stuff like that, and she's so traumatized that she has to sleep in the same bed as him, which I really questioned. And he was being a nice guy and kind of really looked like a devoted grandfather, and kind of understood a kid is really scared and just needs, my kids used to sleep with me, no big deal. But I'm kind of putting two and two together that maybe this guy is doing a little more than just sleeping with this little girl, especially because his daughter is getting it, her shit together and really wants her kids back. She does have her son back, but this grandfather is now saying words that he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that his daughter never gets his granddaughter back. That he would never trust her with this granddaughter, and he would fight her tooth and nail. And it's like, if I was a mother and I went through hell and I had a drug problem, I would, and I'm working my way out, it would frustrate the hell out of me if I had to constantly fight my own father to get my daughter back. I mean, my daughter would be the reason that would make me want to make better choices and not have a drug problem. And if I do everything to prove that, and I'm fighting a losing battle because there's some guy out there that's going to fight you tooth and nail, letting, all systems think that you're not a good parent, you're not even trying, or, I'm kind of questioning whether this guy is really doing something with this little girl. Plus, we've never really seen this before, we kind of know that this guy doesn't think animals have a brain, and that you're supposed to, be sort of rough with them because that's how you have to treat horses. And my daughter's not like that, and it really affects her when he's kind of yells at these horses, or, hits them a little harder than he should. But this week that she worked with him, he actually hit a horse over the head with a wrench so hard that it bounced off the horse's head and into his and cut his lip. I believe that's cruelty to animals. So it's not so much of, when evil crosses your path that you get really angry with it. You've tried communicating with it, and they didn't really like when you talk with them. So that's the time that you report it. And more than likely, there aren't going to be any government systems that are going to do anything. But this is where we as a society have to sort of recognize that some things are wrong and we need to stand up for it. And just make it loud and in their face that what you're doing is wrong. Would he be able to earn his living if we as a society say, we don't like the way you do business, we don't like the way you treat horses, don't leave it up to government agencies, but us as a whole have to stand up and say, your behavior is wrong, and do it peacefully, not angrily. Now, this guy I know wants to make money after the summer season, so he's going to try and start a horse run and say we need to get rid of all of this oil in this bad cars and gas and corporate world, and get back to riding horses. Really good idea. My daughter really loves it. And he's thinking of doing it as a charity and raising money for the Gulf oil, which all he's doing is trying to do it so he can get sponsors to put money in his own freaking pocket. Now tell me, do you think this is right? I don't think it's a matter of getting angry. I think it's a matter of getting collective and start noticing who's doing right and who's doing wrong, and don't work for these type of people, and don't give them your money. And yeah, make complaints, but if you fail to make, government actually does anything about it, this is where we as a society do not give them our labor energy, and we do not pay them. And then they can't be around horses because they won't be able to afford to be around horses. They won't be around kids because we won't, we'll know what they're doing and we'll be saying it out loud. And like, they won't be too comfortable if we say it out loud. So, My daughter's really frustrated, really angry, wants to think the whole world is against her because so many things that are wrong are happening to her. But I'm believing in humanity. I believe we can stand up and say, yeah, those are really wrong things and you don't deserve that. Peace and love out.